Hey y'all, welcome back. It is a kind of a rainy, nasty day here. I was gonna try to do, or I am gonna try to do kind of like a little garden tour in the outdoor garden, and then take you out to the tunnel and show you what things are looking like in the tunnel, but we'll see how that goes in the outdoor garden. I don't know, we might have to do it between rainstorms here. I got a couple things I got to get done. Need to go out to the tunnel and trellis or add clips to my tomatoes to keep trellising those. I think I'm going to try to plant cucumbers out in the tunnel today. I need to go in and look at them and see what they look like. But first, we're going to take a look out here. It's always fun to me to come out and look at the garden after a big rain because there's always like significant growth. So yeah, let's take a look. It's like major garden fail here. I'm like notorious for planting things and then not keeping good notes of what I planted. So I don't know what kind of tomatoes these are. I put the little marker in there, and I knew that the sun and the weather and whatnot would wash away the marker on it, but I thought, I'll just leave it out here today, and then I'll come back and I'll make note of what I've got planted, and then I never did that. So I don't know what kind of tomatoes these are. I don't know. I'm pretty certain that they're all the same variety down, but who knows? I'll have to wait and see what they turn out to be. When the Florida weave is holding up well so far. I had a couple of people say that the jute that I chose to use, this is biodegradable, so people were saying that this probably would not hold up in an outdoor setting. It's what I bought to use in the tunnel, and it's what I'm using to trellis my tomatoes in the tunnel. Oh man, do you hear that? That's another issue we have to take care of. So, I don't know if you can hear the dogs barking right now. I don't think that I told y'all about this. I think this was an Instagram saga. We got a ticket the other day from the sheriff's department for our Great Pyrenees being dogs at large. They were out in the road. They like to hang out in the road in front of our house, in front of our property, which is literally like feet from our property. But anyways, a few weeks ago, the sheriff's department was going around writing tickets for dogs at large because it's been a problem out here in the county. Oh man, I wonder if you can hear that. I don't know if you can hear that or not. So anyways, which is totally understandable. They were very nice about it, but they went out with the intention of writing tickets. So we got a ticket that day, and so we have since put up electric fence around our fencing where our livestock are, and that has solved the problem. They've stayed in. They're very respectful of the electric fencing, but now we're dealing with feeding time issues. So I feed all the animals at the same time. It's so funny. So Roper is my horse, right? And I feed him, and he tends to finish his food before the dogs finish their food. And so he'll eat his food, and then he goes over and he tries to steal the dog's food, and they go nuts. And if you can hear them right now, they're going nuts right now. And he could just care less. Like, they'll bark. I mean, you'd think that they were going to just attack him and go crazy, and it looks like that they're about to just, like, eat him up, but they just bark and growl and carry on. But he gets in there, and he likes to try and get the last few little nibbles. So that's an issue we're going to have to take care of, because one, I don't want him eating dog food. That's not good for him. And two, I need the dogs to eat the dog food, so. But the funny thing is, so there's a goat in there with Roper right now. She keeps getting into Roper's area. I don't even know how she's doing it, but she's getting in there. It's Dottie. She's crazy. And Roper's terrified of her, so she can steal Roper's food, yet the dogs go crazy and act like they're just gonna attack him, and he could care less. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyways, that's an issue we gotta solve. So yeah, these are looking good. I did notice I was having, a couple weeks ago, I was having issues, starting to notice having issues with aphids on my tomato plants out here. I did shoot a video about aphids on my pepper plants in the tunnel. But anyways, I went ahead and ordered, let me see if I can't, yeah, over here. I ordered, my intention was to do ladybugs, because that's what I've done in the past, and they've worked really well for me. However, just like there's a shortage of everything, apparently there's a shortage of ladybugs, so I did not get ladybugs. Anyways, I tried out an insect called lacewings. I've never tried those before, but all the research I've done said that they're pretty good with aphid control. So I tried those out. They come as little eggs. You hang the bag full of eggs near wherever your infestation is. A few days later, the eggs hatch, and they help control the problem. And I think that they have done that. I still have aphids on my tomato plants, but not nearly as bad as they were. So I do think that they have helped control the problem, which was pretty cool. So if you're unable to find ladybugs, try lacewings. I think that I can say that they have helped control the problem. Also, I think worth noting is that when I did that video on the aphids on my pepper plants in the tunnel, at that time I sprayed them with soapy water. That's another method I've used in the past. And I had several comments about, I used Dawn dish soap in my water. So just a tiny little bit in a big, like, gallon or so of water, sprayed it on my plants and took care of the problem. And a couple of comments had mentioned that, well, I don't know that you can really consider that organic, because Dawn dish soap is not technically organic, which kind of thinking through that, I would agree that there are better options for soap. Somebody had mentioned I think it's Dr. Bronner's or Bonner's, I don't know. I've used it as a body wash before, but anyways, somebody had mentioned using that, or just, plain Castile soap. I don't know if that will work. I assume it will. I've not ever used that. I've only ever used the Dawn. But yeah, I thought that was a good consideration. So if you're going to do the soapy water method, I don't know, maybe try to do something that's a little more organic as opposed to Dawn. I obviously need to come in here and add some more string to my Florida weave, because they have really grown. I swear I just came out here like yesterday or maybe the day before, and they weren't this big. Seems like anytime you get a rain, they just really explode. So in between most of my basils, my tomatoes, I have little basils. I've got a lot of splash up. I need to come in. I've got some more straw. I need to come in and mulch around these a little better. But look here. So this guy I have not pruned. So you see he's growing straight up, which is fine. I don't think that's a big deal, but he's likely going to bolt easier, and he's not going to produce as many leaves versus, you see this guy over here, I had pinched this one off, and you see how, as opposed to growing straight up, he's growing straight up, but then he branches here and then here, and that's just because I pruned him. So I pinched off here, and now it's growing 2 shoots out. So he'll produce more leaves, and he'll not bolt quite as quickly. And it'll just be a little bit stronger plant. So I do like to prune my basils. You see here, I typically mulch with straw just because it's, I don't know, it's the cheapest option where I'm at. It's easy. However, just know if you mulch with straw, you're going to get these little, I don't know, is this wheat? I don't know, little weeds in here, which is almost like counterproductive, because one of the purposes of mulching, there's a lot of reasons you mulch, but one of them is to help with weed control. Yet I just introduced more weeds. But the thing about these, they're super easy to pull up. You just pull them up real easy. But just know, if you decide to mulch with straw, you're going to deal with that. Oh, so this is a different variety. And again, I don't know what variety it is. I need to get in here also and prune my tomato plants a little bit. So I do have this whole row of tomato plants here, and then you see over there I've got another row. I'm pretty sure those are Kellogg's breakfast. And then I've got a whole nother row down here as well. Again, I don't know what variety it is because I'm apparently not a real gardener. This is pretty cool though. So this is one I had told y'all about a while ago. This one, when I first planted it, we got kind of a windstorm that came through and it snapped it off at the very base down here. I mean, completely snapped it off. So I went ahead and just buried it deeply in the ground to see if it would come back, and I really didn't have high hopes for it. And it looked pretty puny for a few days, but now it's come back really strong. I think it's going to be just fine, which is pretty cool. Tomato plants are pretty resilient. This little guy, you see like how that doesn't look great. So a lot of times if I have these lower branches that don't look great, I'll just take them off. These higher branches or these higher leaves look better, so I'm not just real worried about it. So I also have basil down here. These are just dark purple opal basils going all the way down. The other basil, the green basil, is just your regular Genovese basil that you see a lot of. The green stalk's looking really good. Knox has been taking really good care of it. I need to come in and like put some pavers or something because it's getting a lot of splash up and it's just getting dirty, but it looks really good. So this whole row down here is all, I think it's patty pan squash. Again, I did not do a really good job of labeling what I planted. I know it's squash and I'm fairly confident it's patty pan. I've never actually grown patty pan. I know a lot of people who have, so I just thought I'd try it out. I've only ever direct sown, so that's just what I did here. Put up 2 or 3 seeds per spot, and then just recently came and thinned them out to one plant. These are roughly 24-ish inches apart. Here where I'm at, we deal with a lot of squash bugs and like vine borers and stuff. So I expect to get a decent harvest off these and then probably just pull them out once I get a harvest or 2 off of them, just because I don't like dealing with the pest pressure that I typically get on squash. So the plan is to get a couple good harvests off this, pull them out, and then flip this bed for something else. Potentially tomatoes. I'm actually going to be starting another round of tomatoes pretty soon, which is exciting. I've never done a succession of tomatoes. I've only ever done my one planting, and then once it gets really hot in the summer, they kind of peter out, and then I'm done. But trying to change my mindset into kind of a market gardener where I need to have consistent crops to be able to sell. I'm going to be doing a succession of tomatoes. So I'm really excited about that. This may be a bed where I put those in there. I have yet to plant this bed. Probably just going to throw some flower seeds in it. I don't know yet what flower seeds I will put. Maybe just some zinnias because they're easy. I know they'll do well. Over here is a lot of different flowers I've got going. These are dahlias I'm so excited about. And actually, gosh, they have grown quite a bit since we got rain. These were tubers I put in the ground maybe a couple weeks ago or so. First time, like I said, I've ever grown dahlias. I always see people grow them on Instagram and whatnot, and they're so beautiful. I got several tubers from a lady in Michigan called Muddy Acres Flower Farm. She had some really pretty varieties. And then some of these are just, generic tubers I found at Walmart for pretty cheap, and I threw them in the ground, and so far everything is coming up. It's looking really pretty. And I say invest in tubers because they're pretty expensive, especially if you buy from some of these flower farmers that have the more unique varieties. Tubers can be really expensive. However, the cool thing about them is that once the season's over, and I really don't know a lot about this, I need to research it a little bit, but once the season's over, you can actually dig the tuber up and save it, and the tuber itself will actually multiply. So you'll get more and more flowers every year. Or like a lot of these flower farmers do, if you're looking to make a profit, you get more tubers every year, and then you can sell them and actually make a profit off of it. So I thought that's pretty cool. I do know that you can prune dahlias to get more blooms. I'm not real familiar with that. I'm going to assume, I'm not going to do it because I'm just assuming here, but I'm going to assume that I would pinch off this main stem and it will probably give me 2 branches out. I need to look into that though and see. But they're looking really good. I'm excited about that. Zinnias down here, some of them look a little rough because these are actually some of the zinnias I thinned out from over there. I'll take you over there in a minute. But anyways, I thinned out the patch over there and just transplanted them to here. So some of them do look a little rough. But most of them are going to be just fun. So little zinnias. This is really exciting. So this is Nigella. And I actually planted this last year and it never came up. And I was really disappointed about it. And I just assumed it was a lost cause, but then all of a sudden it bloomed like in the middle of the winter this year. And it was just like this small little bushy patch, and I didn't even know what it was. I couldn't remember what I put here. And now it's grown and it's blooming and it looks beautiful. And it's kind of out of control and a mess, but I don't care because it's just really pretty. But it's the first time I've ever grown it. I'm just letting it do its thing. Really pretty. Same thing here are the little zinnias. These are also transplants. So if you don't know, zinnias, they really need to be pruned or pinched off. Last year I did not do that. I knew it needed to be done, I just never did it. But it's the same concept. A lot of times, pruning is really just, or pinching off is the same concept. So you pinch off, for instance, I can just pinch this guy off here. And now instead of growing just straight up and being one tall plant, it's gonna branch out. So it'll be a little bushier, it'll be a little stronger, and it'll give me more blooms. But yeah, these all eventually will need to be pinched off. Probably do this guy here. But this is exciting that these little transplants did so well. I need to come in and weed really good. The weed pressure is going to be pretty bad in here, which is something I expected. I'm just going to have to stay on top of it. And eventually, if you stay on top of your weeding, the weed pressure will be less and less. The fact that this is an outdoor garden will always have weeds in here, from the wind blowing seeds in, from birds dropping seeds. But if you stay on top of your weeding year after year, the pressure will get a little less and less. And then this over here is garlic. I planted this last fall. I'm thinking it should be harvestable maybe in June-ish. So I'm still kind of waiting. And then you see these little zinnias in here. This is where I had zinnias last year, and they have self-seeded themselves, and so they get to stay. Same thing, I'll just pinch that little guy off. It's kind of hard to do sometimes. Kind of hurts your heart a little bit, but gotta do what you gotta do. I wish this guy was in bloom right now. This is a dahlia plant that I actually bought from a local nursery. And when I first planted it, it had these really pretty giant pink blooms. And those have since died off, and I've pruned them off, and it's getting ready to bloom again. But I'll show you when it blooms again, but it's really pretty. This is the little zinnia patch I thinned from. I probably need to come in here and thin some more. They're pretty close together, but most of these I have pinched off. They're looking pretty good. These are those tomatoes again. Need to come in, prune all these suckers off. I like to prune pretty heavily on my tomato plants just because we tend to get pretty bad disease. And down here we've got sunflowers. This whole bed is sunflowers. Maybe I should say this whole bed is sunflowers and weeds, because that's what it is. I need to come in here and weed. The funny thing about the garden this year, we have a lot of rabbits out here. However, I have never had an issue with rabbits eating things in my garden because the dogs have always kept things like rabbits and deer away. But now that the dogs are penned up, or in the field with the livestock, I'm having some pest pressure, some rabbit pressure. And a lot of these sunflowers, rabbits have actually come in and eaten down. They did the same thing with the beans over here. For the most part, everything's okay, but it's just funny. I've never had to worry about that before, and this year it has been a little bit of an issue. I guess potentially I could come in around this fence and put up like some chicken wire or something, but I'm probably just not, honestly, because it's not been that big of an issue. But you can see here on the beans where they have eaten some plants there. But yeah, these are my beans. These are bush beans. They're called Landreth Stringless, I think. I got them from Baker Creek. I've grown them for a couple of years. We do really like them. They're pretty tender. They have a good flavor, and they are stringless. So nothing I hate more in my beans than having strings in my beans. So they're good. They're pretty good producers here. And then I've got some little cosmos down here. These were just some leftover seeds I had from last year, and they actually didn't germinate that well. I planted way more than what I've got going here, but for whatever reason, it could be that the rabbits ate them. I don't know, but I do have a few here and there down here, so they should produce some really pretty blooms. I think that they were the seashell variety. Probably got them from Baker Creek as well, but I think they're called seashell cosmos or something of that nature. But should have a lot of beans this year. That was one of my goals, was to plant more beans and to have some that we could actually put up, maybe freeze. Under the trellis is looking good. We've got cucumbers. So this is 2 panels, and this, I've had a couple people ask me, this is not your regular, like your cattle panel or your hog panel, whatever you want to call it, like this. So these are the bigger squares. This is I think this is called horse panel, and we had bought this for another project years ago, and so this is just something we had on hand. It is a little more expensive because it's more metal, because the holes are smaller. It's also heavier, so just keep that in mind. This was kind of a pain to put up. But anyways, just a regular cattle panel works the same. We just put this up because it's what we had. But all down here are cucumbers. These are a pickling variety. And then under here, I think I had mentioned before, these are little Salanova lettuces. I've heard lots of good things about Salanova. I've got several in here, and here. And the plan, or the hope, is that these Salanovas will grow quickly enough that I can harvest them before it gets too hot. We're getting pretty close to the time of year when it's going to be too hot for any sort of leafy green to grow. But I thought maybe that these cucumbers would grow up. They would provide a little bit of shade for the lettuces, to give them just a little bit of extra time to grow and get big enough to harvest. But I don't know. That may not work out. I think this is 2. Yeah, so this needs to be thinned. Typically, I don't prune my cucumbers. I've never pruned a cucumber ever. That is something you can do, though, and that's something I'm going to learn to do because it will need to be done in the tunnel. But typically I just let these guys go wild. But we're going to practice our pruning skills this year for out in the tunnel. These are all peppers down here. They're looking good. I had a couple that got trampled. I don't know if it was by a child or a dog, but anyways, I re-transplanted a couple, but they're looking good. Yeah. So one of the things I'm working on this year is fertilizing, being a little more regular about fertilizing stuff. That's another thing I've never done, is fertilize my plants. I've only ever just, top dressed my beds and then planted and just let it go. And I've always, had pretty good success with it. However, going back to that market garden mindset, I want to get the best yield I can get, and I think fertilization is pretty important. So I have been fertilizing out here a little bit, not regularly. I've fertilized with some fish emulsion. The tomatoes and the peppers both have been fertilized once with fish emulsion. And then out in the tunnel, I'm going to try to fertilize basically with fish emulsion. I got another product, an organic fertilizer from a local company that I'm trying out right now. It's a little more expensive than the fish emulsion. Actually, my friend Sean gave it to me to try out, so I was going to try that out. After that I'll probably stick with the fish emulsion just because of the cost effectiveness. But anyways, going to try to fertilize a little more regularly out in the tunnel and see how my yields work out in that way. So I'll take y'all out to the tunnel. I need to go into the greenhouse real quick and see if I can actually transplant out some cucumbers, see what they're looking like. Let me show y'all these. So these are my cucumbers. These are greenhouse cucumbers from Johnny's Seeds. This one is called Piccolino. This is actually like a slicing cucumber. I got really good germination on these. I don't know, they're quite ready. These could probably be transplanted out, but I may wait another day or two. And then this Excelsior is a pickling cucumber. And for whatever reason, I did not get great germination. You see, I don't know what percentage germination that is. I'd have to pull out my calculator, but not great. And a little bit slower growing than these. I planted these guys, or I sowed these guys the same day, but did not get just great germination, which is fine. I mean, I got enough to put in the tunnel. It's going to be one row of cucumbers in the tunnel. Half's going to be pickling, and then the other half's going to be that slicing cucumber. So it'll be plenty, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, so I'll wait a couple of days before I transplant out cucumbers. But yeah, I'll take you out to the tunnel and show you the growth in there. The growth in the tunnel especially on the tomatoes versus out here in the outdoor garden is, to me, is pretty unreal. The growth in the tunnel is amazing, really. I'll show you this though. Jill gave me this at Whispering Willow. Oh, let me pull you down all the way. There you go. That's eucalyptus. It smells amazing. So yeah, I didn't really know where I wanted to put it, so I just potted it in this bigger pot here, so I could decide exactly where I wanted it to go. And then I've got another one. She gave me two of them, actually. I got another one over here. They both look really good. But yeah, let me take you out to the tunnel. If there's only one good thing about growing in a high tunnel, it's that you can work in the rain and not get wet because you're undercover. It's really nasty out here. So we are really working hard on this area. It's such a mess right now. The pond right there like naturally spills into here. You can even, I mean, it's like a little creek. You can hear it just rolling. But it makes it a big nasty mess to get through. So anyways, we've been kind of working on it. Tyler put these bags of concrete out. Because we're eventually going to connect, turn you around, we're going to connect this gravel road through here and then all the way up, because eventually, you know, the hope is that we have so much harvest that we'll actually need to have a vehicle that goes through here as opposed to just walking our harvest back and forth. So yeah, we'll need a functioning road. Really can't drive through that wet area right now. This is another thing on our to-do list, is to clean this pond out, clean out around it, clean inside it, just make it prettier. I mean, it's pretty right now, but it could be so much better. When we moved to our property, gosh, seven-ish years ago, it all looked like just all that wooded area back there. It was just a lot of really thick brush, and any area that you see that's cleared out is starting to rain on me. Any area that you see cleared out is area that we have cleared out ourselves. There have been a couple of times we've paid a company to clear out, but most of it we've just done it ourselves. So it takes just a lot of really hard work and a lot of time. So yeah, it's just always a work in progress. There's always things on our to-do list. Tyler put up an electric fence around here. There are deer back here, and technically they could just jump this fence. I'm really hoping they don't. And you can hear it tick. It's kind of grounded out in somewhere. But anyways, it's mainly to keep dogs out. We've got a couple of neighbor dogs, and then our dog right there. He knows I'm talking about him. That like to be a little mischievous. So it's done a good job of keeping dogs out. We don't have electricity run back here, so we did get a solar charge or a solar power battery for the electric fence, and it's working really well. So if that's something that you're considering, that the solar has been amazing so far. We've not had any issues with it. I've got my little clips. I think I showed y'all those. These are biodegradable. They're from Johnny's. Really enjoyed these so far. They're working well. A little more expensive than just your regular plastic clips, but in my opinion, they're not that much more expensive. So let me show you. I'm going to turn you around here. If you'll remember just a few minutes ago what things looked like, what the tomato plants particularly looked like in the outdoor garden, I'm going to flip you around here and show you what they look like in here, because they look amazing. Hopefully you can hear me over the rain, but look at this guy. I mean, he's huge. It's probably hard to convey on video, but gosh, he's so much bigger than what I have outdoors. Most of these plants I'm noticing just now, they have a lot of this leaf curl. I think I haven't quite honed in on my irrigation just yet. I don't think they're getting enough water. And actually, it looks like they were supposed to get water this morning, and it looks like my timer may have not gone off, and I'm going to guarantee you that I have two little boys that were up here yesterday messing with stuff, and I'm going to say that they probably messed with my timer. So I don't think things got watered like they were supposed to. I think that's the problem here. But man, it's just so much bigger than what's outdoors. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but it looks amazing. The trellising system is working really well. It's the first time I've trellised like this, obviously, because it's the first time I've grown in a tunnel. But it's working really well. I've already actually got fruits on some of these guys I'm going to show you. So most of these are Cherokee purple. I did do the right thing, and I documented what I'm growing in here versus my outdoor garden. So it's like my alter ego is outside. The really unorganized person is working in the outdoor garden, and the more responsible person's working in here. So let me show you. I'm going to try to find, I've got some fruits setting somewhere. Let me show you. Yeah, look at these guys. I know this is a blueberry cherry tomato plant. This is not a specific greenhouse variety, but this is my all-time favorite cherry tomato. And I really just wanted to see how well it would do grown in a tunnel versus grown outdoors. They're actually really prolific outdoors. I don't have much issue with them. See there? So I'm really excited about these, and look how their leaves really are curling. I think they need some water pretty badly, so we'll get that taken care of. And then I've got some Brad's Atomic grapes. Oh my gosh, they're so big. Look, just from yesterday, they've grown so much. Oh, can you see that? Yes, so awesome. Super excited about that. Let's see. Yep, here's some more. Super excited. I just pruned these guys. I need to prune them again. This is a, oh shoot, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Oh, a Kellogg's Breakfast. So that's a big yellow slicer. Again, this is not a greenhouse variety. That second succession of tomatoes I told you I was going to sow, that is actually a greenhouse variety, and it's a determinate tomato. But man, they just look so good. So good. This is really exciting. I did go ahead and put in some little basils. I kind of interplanted those down between the tomatoes here. And you can see I actually pruned this one. So you'll see I pinched it off there in the middle. So it's shooting out 2 shoots here. It looks good. This is a cinnamon basil variety. And then here's my peppers. I'll be real honest with you. These are not greenhouse peppers. These are just, your regular garden peppers. I've got a sugar rush peach. I've got a Tabasco. I've got a habanada, which I'm pretty excited about. I've never grown it, but habanada is supposed to have that habanero flavor without all the heat. I've got some bell peppers down there. What else was down there? I've got a jalapeno down there. But what I was going to say is I have never pruned a pepper plant, and I'm not real sure if I'm supposed to. So if you are good with peppers, I would love to know your thoughts on pruning pepper plants, because I've never pruned a pepper plant. But I could see how this one's branching. I didn't prune this, but I would assume that, if I pruned like this guy, it would branch out. Maybe not. I don't know. I need to look into that, I guess. These are the habanadas, these smaller, bushier ones. But even, I don't know if you can tell, even these peppers that are growing in the greenhouse or in the tunnel versus outdoors are looking so much bigger. They're already setting blooms. None of my peppers outdoors are setting blooms. These were all planted. Oh, I've even got some little, looks like I've got some little peppers going too. But yeah, none of my ones outdoors are setting blooms or even look close to setting blooms, honestly. You can see I do have some little aphids in here. So something else Sean from Mindful Farmer was talking about when I did that aphid video, and just telling him about, things I was doing to control it. He had mentioned, Sean had mentioned that, pests will really try to attack the weakest plants first, because that's just the easiest. And so he was saying, obviously you want to do something about the pest pressure you have right now, but you also want to try and do something to make those plants stronger so it's harder for the pests to attack. So that's another reason I'm fertilizing this year. I'm trying to kind of stay on top of that and get a good fertilizing game plan in place where I can help my plants grow big and strong, but also help, deter the pests from trying to really attack them. I'm smushing aphids with my fingers as we speak. But yeah, that's another reason I'm really trying to hone in on my fertilization, because I want to make nice, big, strong plants that produce big fruit, and lots of fruit. But I also want to make it to where, the pests aren't enticed to attack because, they're weak plants. So I thought that was interesting. I had never really thought of it that way, but it's true. It makes sense. So these peppers don't have any sort of support just yet. What I'll probably do in here as they get a little bigger is almost do like a Florida weave type method and just drive in a few stakes all the way down, and then take that jute that I have that's over here for the tomato plants and just weave it in and out and give those pepper plants a little support. And then here in a few days, those cucumbers are going to be ready to transplant. And I'm going to come in here. This will be the last row for this season. They will be trellised up just like the just like the tomatoes. And those cucumbers will be pruned. They'll have to be pruned. I can't have them going wild in here, so I'll have to kind of hone in on my cucumber pruning skills. But yeah, they'll be trellised straight up just like the tomatoes with the jute and those biodegradable clips over there. Really excited about those. So yeah, that's what we have going in the tunnel. I'm excited to be able to kind of shift my mindset into already thinking about how I'm going to flip these beds here pretty soon. Typically I just grow a summer garden. I may kind of dabble with spring and fall gardens, not a whole lot, because I don't know, the summer garden's just like the big thing. That's what everybody does. But it's been fun, and it's been challenging to have that mindset shift of this is not it. When this is over, when these peter out, it's not over. It's time to, get back to work flipping these beds, putting in more crops for more harvest, so I can continue to have that successful market garden. So that's also kind of in the back of my mind right now. It's so funny because I haven't even gotten a harvest off of these yet, and I'm already thinking about what's going to happen next. So that's fun. Okay, y'all, I got to get to work. Obviously, I got to water some plants because I'm pretty sure they didn't get watered this morning. I'm going to be trellising up these tomatoes and doing some other things around here. So I hope this video was enjoyable. It wasn't just super informative about anything, but I always enjoy watching other people's garden tours and see what's going on in other people's gardens. So that's what's going on right here, right now. If you enjoyed it, I would love for you to subscribe. I would love for you to comment. And yeah, I'll see you next time.